Whose side are you on? Y'all be seated in the presence of our God. Whose side are you on? As I said, wouldn't it be wonderful if spiritual warfare was as easy as cops and robbers was? Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could recognize who it was that was for you and who it was that was against you just by looking at them? But the fact of the matter is spiritual warfare is in fact nothing like cops and robbers. And spiritual warfare is in fact nothing like cowboys and Indians. The fact of the matter is spiritual warfare is actually guerrilla warfare, y'all. The reason I say it's guerrilla warfare is because in spiritual warfare, you can't tell just by looking at somebody whether or not they belong to the Lord. Now, we know spiritual warfare is like guerrilla warfare because Paul warns of that. He says, now, don't believe every spirit, St. Paul. He says, but try these spirits to see whether or not they be of God. David knows something about spiritual warfare being like guerrilla warfare. He says, because it was not a friend that got the better of me. It was not an enemy that stabbed me in the back. He said, it was somebody who I ate with, who I worship with. He said, we took sweet counsel together. We came to the house of God in company. So spiritual warfare is like guerrilla warfare. It's nothing like cops and robbers. In verse 12, it says that the manna had ceased after that day, and they began to eat of the produce of the land. And that baffled me. I said, how is it that once the manna ceased, they're now eating of the produce of the promised land? When the children of Israel were in the wilderness, all they had to do was wait on manna to fall down from heaven. Now here it is, they're in the promised land and they have to work for the produce to come out the ground. I'm wondering, how is it that now I've moved out of the wilderness, now I've embraced the promises of God, and it seems like I'm working harder now than I did when I'm in the wilderness. I just want to encourage the heart of some believer that feels like you're working harder now than you did when you were in the world. It's not because God has turned his back on you. It's just that God is trying to bless you in a different way. Because when you were in the wilderness, the only thing you could eat was manna. But now that you embrace God's promises, he said, for those of you who are willing to work, you can have something different. Is there anybody that's tired of getting the same thing and you want something different? Is there anybody that's tired of the same type of relationships and now you want something different? The same type of job and now you want something different? God has said if you're mature enough to work, you can have something different. So Joshua, the only thing he had in common with the people he was in the wilderness with was that they were all bond servants in Egypt. The only thing Joshua shared in common with these people in the wilderness was that they were slaves in Egypt. Now, God got rid of these people because they died in the wilderness. But I believe God is asking the New Testament church to do something that the children of Israel didn't have to do. He's not asking for us to wait 40 years to get rid of people who don't need to be in our lives. He's asking us to be mature enough to do it for ourselves. Now, the way you know who you need to get rid of is you look at Joshua's situation. The only thing he had in common with these people in the wilderness was that they were all bond servants in Egypt. The way you know that somebody doesn't need to be in your life is the only thing y'all have in common is that y'all were in bondage by the same thing. So if the only thing we got in common is that we gamble together, maybe you don't need to be in my life. If the only thing we got in common is that we sleep together, maybe you don't need to be in my life. If the only thing we got in common is we get drunk and high together, maybe you don't need to be in my life. The only thing we have in common is that we in the same bondage. You don't need to be in my life. Celebrate about this man is he has some backbone. Because when Joshua sees him, it says he doesn't have a sheathed sword in his hand, Reverend Beckton, but he has a drawn sword in his hand. So we don't know when we look at him what side he's on. But one thing we can be certain of, whoever side he's on, he's prepared to defend it. The type of people I want around me are people who are prepared to defend me. I done been in heated situations, and folk I thought was on my side, Sister Longmire, wasn't prepared to defend me when things jumped off. I want God to send some people in my life who are prepared to defend me.